RBRadio.com.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the MMA show, wherever you may be in internet land. In this month's show, we'll be reviewing UFC 197, John Jones versus Ovince Peru. We'll be also looking ahead at UFC 200 and all the controversy surrounding Conor McGregor. We'll be reviewing the UFC Fight Night Zagreb Dos Santos versus Big Ben Rothwell and some latest news around the MMA world. And welcome to the MMA show. In this month's show, I've got my friend and former training partner, Marcus the Beast Cottrell.
Hello.
Good evening, Marcus.
It's nice to be here. Hello, Go.
How are you?
Yes, I'm considering this peculiar weather. I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, yes. We must remind the listeners we're in good old England, and we've had the 4 seasons in one day.
Very peculiar.
I think we had sleet, snow, quite a bit of sunshine, and some rain as well.
And rain as well.
But this is typical in, where are we, April, nearly May?
Yeah.
So typical summer weather. But so moving on to the review, I think we've got to start at UFC 197, which was John Jones versus DC, Daniel Cormier 2, but due to Daniel Cormier's injury, it became John Jones versus Ovince Peru. So what did you think of the headline fight?
Well, first of all, it's disappointing that DC pulled out, and I think the matchmakers had their work cut out trying to find any kind of opponent in reasonable shape, so they turned to St. Preux.
I think Anthony Johnson, he's had dental surgery.
Yeah,
they did approach him.
Yeah,
not sure, but that's what I've heard.
And I think that fight, they need a while to market that fight, not because it won't be popular, but they can milk it for what it's worth. That's a fight that everybody wants to see.
I don't think John Jones would have taken Anthony Johnson in 3 weeks.
I think he probably would.
I think he would have just said no, dangerous.
Yeah, I think Anthony Johnson, we've gone slightly off on a tangent here, but I think Anthony Johnson's got a round of violence in him. And I don't think there's very few people very few people that can withstand that 5 minutes of aggression. And I think Jones would get knocked sideways, to be honest. But going back to the DC pullout,
the fight itself, going
to the DC pullout. Disappointed that he injured himself training, and the hype train was coming along nicely in that fight. For that fight,
it was building up nicely, bubbling along. They had that big conference.
They did.
They had the usual Twitter insults, and
there's clearly a lot of discomfort and hatred between
there's
those
animosity, genuine.
And they were going to settle it. DC wants revenge. He's coming off a couple of big wins, and he's the current UFC light heavyweight champ.
Gustafsson and AJ. Yeah.
Arguably, Bones lost against Gustafsson. It was that close, but you kind of give the nod to the champion.
It was a close one, yeah.
It was a great fight, and so DC beating Gustafsson and doing a dominant performance against Rumble. He's mentally, I still think Jones gets into his head a bit, so I was really looking forward to how he was going to counter A, the mental demons of the first loss, and B, just Jones's physicality and his technique, which you can't argue.
That's a good point about getting under skin. I think Jones gets into Daniel Cormier's skin more
I think so.
than DC getting into Jones's skin.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Jones laughs it off a bit more and sort of plays about, where DC gets very intense and serious.
I think you're right, and I think the foundations of DC. He's come from a relatively humble background. He's worked hard to get where he was. He's an Olympiad. He's ethically, and he's got his morals, whereas Jones is a scumbag. So he got both ends of the spectrum here. I got nothing against the guy, but it's what he stands for and the things that he's done. And so I think there's a battle of the
almost good versus evil,
dark force against the Jedi Knights. Yeah. So I was looking forward to it. Going back to St. Preux's
actual performance,
it was just lackluster. Jones is the greatest of all time, quite possibly. He's beaten everybody that's been put in front of him.
Yeah.
I was just disappointed in Jones that night, that he took 25 minutes really to beat a guy that he should have wiped the floor with within a couple of.
He was not prepared to take any risks, was he, John Jones?
Yeah, I understand that.
Very cautious.
And there's a puncher's chance with
he's a big bloke.
And he's done a lot of damage to a lot of people. He did a number on Shogun. But I thought he as well seemed like a rabbit in the headlights a bit. He caught Jones once or twice, but at that level, if you've trained that hard to have a shot at the champ, you've got to catch him more than 2 or 3 times.
I think Vince might have been scared of gassing out.
Yeah, which he clearly did in the later rounds.
Yeah, with 3 weeks notice, he had to cut weight, spar, get some strategy together. And
he wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready, so I think he done all right. I was expecting that from Vince. From John Jones, I was expecting a bit more wrestling early on.
Mm-hmm.
And when he actually did wrestle him, I think in the 4th and 5th, when he picked him up, took him for a really good ride, banged him on the mat, and then did a fairly good ground and pound against the cage until the bell went. I thought Jones was going to do that early on, but I think Jones was content doing that horrible stomp kick. Effective, but it's horrible. What do you think of that stomp kick? A lot of professionals don't like it.
I don't, because that's a career-ending injury.
If you jar your knee back that way and it snaps,
that's horrible. Hyperextend it and it's gone. That's horrible. I don't think you're ever the same after something like that.
I mean, it's rbradio.com. It's not against the rules, it's not against the law of the game, but we're talking about the spirit of martial arts.
Once again, we touch upon the ethics of old John Jones, and he's a continually persecuted and punished for eye pokes. And I think he's got more eye pokes in the light heavyweight division than any other fighter. And another indication, but you win ugly, you win, don't you? And ultimately, he's got that mindset, and he'll win any way he can.
Did you notice a lot from his physique? Because in the last 6 months he's been posting,
he's kind of bulked up,
powerlifting, 580 pounds. Squatting 400 pounds, and
he looked in good shape. He always does come in good shape.
More defined, and
he didn't look huge.
No, but muscularity was better.
Maybe out of off season, he bulks up to a lot more.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any difference in his footwork, in his strength. He looked. I think he did what he had to do. There was 2 sides to this fight. Vince just had to survive, really.
Yeah.
Just how many people can say they've gone 5 rounds with the world?
He had to come away with
something.
Sort of some honour and say, look, I had 3 weeks' notice.
That's right.
I've gone 5 rounds with the greatest.
Who else can say that?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I also bet a lot more was expected of Jones coming back after what he's been through.
Yeah.
Where he's been, the situations he's found himself in. I think he should have made a statement to the world and really gone to town.
It must get to Jones, all this.
Yeah,
I know it's all his
own doing. Yeah.
But still, he is a family man. People forget that. It's easy to forget.
Is he married? I don't know much
he's got
about
4 kids.
Yeah,
he's got 4 daughters. Yeah.
Wow.
I think all under the. He's only 27. His daughters are all under the age of 7.
What's he doing? Half the stuff he's doing.
And it's hard to believe. Like Daniel Cormier, he's got 2 kids. And the way he
seems more settled.
And you expect it, and you say, oh yeah, he's a family man. If you didn't know Jones any more than what you know from UFC, but you heard all these stories, you probably think he's young, wild, and he is young, but
reckless,
single and wild. But no, he's been married, I think, since he was at college, or certainly early on, and he's had kids. I think that's why he left college. I think.
He was in trouble a couple of weeks ago. He was caught drag racing.
No, the copper accused him of drag racing.
Is that right?
Then Jones was giving the copper
some verbal,
and then he got a ticket or something. Yeah,
I think he's had to see his probation officer about it, and they're basically telling him just keep
the
out of trouble.
Albuquerque police, because he had that orange Guantanamo suit on.
Yeah.
There was pictures of that, so
There's no way for a champion to behave. I'm not saying there aren't other champions that haven't behaved like that. There are, and they've done worse things. But Jones must remember he's in the public eye, and I think there's certain things expected of him. But if you're a champion, and you keep winning, then the UFC tends to look the other way to a degree.
You certainly get more leniency.
Yeah, I agree.
As soon as you start losing a few, be like, get out with the rest of them.
Yeah.
But they're looking ahead for Jones. I think it's, 80-90% Jones versus Daniel Cormier, UFC 200.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't see, we'll talk about the McGregor situation in a bit, but I can't see any other headliner. So
I think it's big enough to headline. I think there's still enough time for DC to make a full recovery from his injuries.
Yeah, and get a 6-week, 8-week camp in.
And the marketing campaign can continue as well.
Yeah.
And 200 is going to be a huge event. I mean, we've got countless top fighters on there. Even the undercards are cracking undercards.
Well, you've got Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar,
Yeah.
even though it's an interim.
and that could headline.
And then you've got Misha Tate. And
Tate's
Nunez.
fighting too. Surprised about Nunez.
I thought they were going to go for a Holly Holm rematch.
I totally agree.
I think she deserved it.
And maybe Misha got the had a certain amount of clout here.
Yeah.
And said to Dana or the Fertitta brothers,
I want to defend it once.
yeah, let me defend it once.
Yeah.
Odds are Holly's going to get me next time.
Yeah.
And Rousey seems to be out of the picture. She's acting at the moment, and
She still seems a bit flaky about coming back.
Will she ever come back? That was such a devastating loss to her. I would say that's probably the biggest champion loss
Come
fight
down.
I've
From
seen.
that height to boom.
In such a fashion.
And to admit what she admitted was suicide
Suicidal.
and everything else.
And she blew up. She couldn't control her weight. She's seeing the wrong people as well.
Out of respective, wasn't it? Perspective.
Yeah, she's involving herself with some strange characters. I think she needs something to get her back on the straight and narrow. And is acting going to give her that? I don't know.
But UFC 200, Jones and Daniel Cormier, just a brief who you think?
I'm still going to pick DC. I think he's a different person after winning and defending.
Points or some sort of...
No, I'm even going to go as far as probably a third round TKO or a stoppage.
Ground and pound.
Yeah. I think DC's got it this time. Jones won't be an easy fight for him, and he'll have his moments. But I think DT has it in him to not lose, but win in an emphatic fashion.
And Jones may have lost some of that aura a bit with the problems and the last fight.
He's human, so I guess it must have an effect on him.
Yeah.
And also he's been up there for a long time now, and has he lost his desire to continually win?
Like what happened to Anderson.
Yeah, very little left to prove now, and sooner or later,
as soon as you clean out that division,
what's left? Yeah.
I mean, George St. Pierre, I feel got lucky. I feel he lost to Johnny Hendricks. But he was on the way out at least 2 fights before that, possibly with Nick and Carlos Condit. So, it does happen. But, moving on to the next, the co-main event, which was Demetrius Johnson against Henry Cejudo. What was your thoughts on that?
First of all, Mighty Mouse, there's an argument to say he is the greatest fighter. I mean, he's just a phenomenon. What he's doing in that division... He's shaking it up. He's beating everybody quite easily. I mean, and some of these guys are top fighters and, great strikers, great wrestlers. It doesn't matter. Wherever you take Demetrius Johnson, he's going to drag you back into the water and the depth that he's comfortable with. The
thing that's a shame for Mighty Mouse is that most of his opponents, unless you're a hardcore MMA fan, you wouldn't really know them.
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty hardcore fans, and we probably wouldn't know outside Benavidez and Dodson.
Top 3 or 4.
The other guys he's fought, we probably wouldn't know them.
It's a tough division to sell.
It's a shame because he's skillful, skill sets wise. Demetrius Johnson,
as good as he gets.
He reminds me of John Jones 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When you used to look at his skill set.
Wherever you take him, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, how the hell is he doing that?
He's comfortable.
And he's natural.
I mean, I totally respect these guys. They're so quick and fluid, and they just bounce around. And Cejudo came in, a fantastic wrestling background.
Olympic gold medal.
And this is the problem you've got when you've got a guy who is fantastic in his discipline.
In one.
That's right. Whether it be striking, wrestling, kickboxing, whatever. But then when you fight a mixed martial artist,
mixed martial artist,
and there's so many different techniques and disciplines that you have to then become accustomed to,
you have to deal with those other disciplines halfway to your master discipline.
Just having your main strength isn't enough, and Cejudo demonstrated that. I mean, he took Mighty Mouse down, but there was little he could do. And strikes finished him in the end. And Herb knows Big John stepped in.
Big John,
enough's enough.
Yeah,
it's such a difficult transition to be such a big fish in your pond to then come into that division where these fighters are so well rounded. And I guess that defines mixed martial arts from any other combat division. Which is you've got to be good at everything.
But the thing with with having the one discipline, and if it's Olympic wrestling, as it was in Henry's case, Olympic wrestling is freestyle wrestling where you take the opponent to the floor and it's either a points thing, you get points, or if you pin them for I think 3 seconds or whatever, then you win the whole match. So Olympic wrestling in a fighting format doesn't give you anything more than that. You can take someone down, but after that you won't know what to do. Whereas in jiu-jitsu or submission wrestling, when you take someone down, straight away you're looking for top position, side control, arm locks, double wrist
submissions,
lock.
damage.
Exactly. Even if you're an expert stand-up, Muay Thai or boxer, long as the fight stays standing up, you can finish them. But with Olympic wrestling, it doesn't give you anything to finish.
No,
you've got control, but then you need something. You need to master something else.
That's
to
right.
Finish it,
and that's the transition I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, one of the early TUFs, the Ultimate Fighter competitions. I think it might even be the first one. And Koscheck was in it. Josh Koscheck.
It was the first one with.
Sanchez was in it, yeah.
Sanchez
and I remember Koscheck,
Griffin,
Griffin, Bonner as well. Fantastic fight, Bonner and Griffin, epic. And Koscheck was a fantastic wrestler, and every one of his matches he won through wrestling.
Yeah.
And then later on, when the UFC signed him, he learned how to strike.
Yeah.
And his wrestling almost became secondary, as fantastic as he was.
Overhand right.
That's right.
Yeah,
and so suddenly he had to develop the rest of his game just to survive. And you say finish some of his opponents.
Good point about Koscheck. Another outstanding wrestler, Rashad Evans. He developed that right hand where he knocked out Chuck Liddell and a few others. And I think he said for 10 fights he didn't wrestle in one fight. He just stood around because he had really good footwork. Rashad, he was really
strong,
light and
low centre of gravity.
Yeah. And then he started using his right hand, and I think he got about 4 or 5 knockouts in a row.
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell being one of his biggest.
He had to bring that attribute out of himself because the wrestling wasn't enough.
Not freestyle Olympic wrestling. That's why in the early days, if you just knew jiu-jitsu and no one else knew any other grappling, they used to tie them up in knots.
Remember Ken Shamrock, massive guy, 250 pounds, huge on all sorts of supplements, whatever. And then he's fighting
Mexican supplements.
He's fighting Hoist Gracie, who's
180
6
pounds.
foot.
Giving away 40 pounds.
Gracie opened the world's eyes to just how effective Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is.
Grappling.
And I mean, you're talking about Shamrock is full of blood clot and gristle and brute strength, and he was tied up and he didn't know what to do.
But Shamrock was trained in catch wrestling, but only for about 4 or 5 years in Japan.
Okay.
With the same guys that taught Sakuraba.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Sakuraba,
so he did have a wrestling background, Shamrock, but not to the same intensity as Gracie had a jiu-jitsu background since they were 5, 3, 2 in the nappies. They were training.
Yeah.
So that's why Shamrock wasn't I don't know if it was that reason, but remember in the WWE, the world's most dangerous man, Shamrock was there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to Mighty Mouse, it's hard to say. The glamour fight for him is to fight Cruz or Faber, which is £10 more, 125 to 135. But in the interviews, he was saying he doesn't really want to do that. I think he's got 8 defences.
Right.
And I think Anderson Silva, was it 11 or 12 he finished on?
Okay.
So he's going for that record.
But who does Mighty Mouse fight next? He's cleared out.
We're fans and we're doing a show, but I would have to look up the 5th and 6th because I know Benavides is 2. He won't fight him again because he's already beat him twice.
Yeah.
I think Dodson is 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Cejudo is 3, so he can't fight him.
He's beaten Dodson twice.
Dodson's 4. And I think after that, the names I can't really...
You're not going to give a 5th or 6th rated guy a shot at the champion unless there's injuries in the
Connor was
fighters.
5th and 6th, he got shot.
Marketable,
money,
different and easy to sell.
That the business head came on there.
Yeah, of course.
So I think Mighty Mouse will probably go for another 3 or 4 title defences.
Or they offer him enough money to
make
go
him an
up,
offer he can't refuse.
and he has another go at Cruz or TJ Dillashaw, or you say Faber. I think Faber and Dillashaw are going to get together. They're having a fight, aren't they?
No, Faber and Cruz are fighting.
Faber and Cruz
199.
Of course it is, yeah. And I think the winner
that's
is going to fight
That's
TJ.
their 3rd fight. It's 1 each.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
WEC, Faber won. UFC, Cruz.
Did they fight twice in the UFC? Or
no, once. This was the 3rd. They were on the Tough.
Yeah.
And then Cruz got injured on Tough.
That's right.
And that's when Barao came in and destroyed Faber.
Yeah. Although I do believe, was it Herb stopped it a little bit too early in that fight?
Is that the one where Faber gave a thumbs up?
He was on the ground.
Herb was saying, defend yourself, and he said, okay. And then Herb's a funny guy. It's too early or too late.
I like Herb, but Big John's the best in the world.
Yeah. He stands out a mile. Okay, moving to the third fight on UFC 197 was Pettis and Barboza.
Well, I called this. I think last time we spoke, Barboza he's just a coiled spring. That guy.
That's a good analogy.
He's got so much strength, and everything he throws, he tries to take your head off.
Bad intentions.
His footwork is spot on. And
did you notice how tight Barboza was and how loose Pettis was?
Yeah,
Pettis just. I think Barboza shut down Pettis' game.
Yes, I think so. Pettis is a fantastic former world champion.
He's a gifted fighter, but
he's just on a decline.
I think he's on the way down.
I just think he's got to maybe the change mentally, where he trains or change his
he
technique.
Did go to Jackson's for a few weeks before this fight, but
right.
Maybe not for long enough. Maybe he needs a full 8 weeks at Jackson's.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But I think it's hard for him because that Duke Rufus, he's brought him up, sort of came to his club as a 10-year-old kid to do taekwondo and stuff like that. So.
Well, clearly something's not working. I mean,
something's gone off the rails.
Look, very against RDA. Yeah, RDA was a beast that night.
He battered him.
Tasmanian Devil. Went 5 rounds. But then Alvarez, I thought he'd bounce straight back. But I was very disappointed with his performance against Eddie. I've got nothing against Eddie, but Eddie didn't really want to fight. He just wanted to grapple up
against the fence,
and he did exactly what he meant to do.
It's up to Pettis to find a way to
precisely. It's not Eddie's fault, not Alvarez's fault. Yeah. But Barboza, a potential in a different time. Barboza's a world champion. It's such a stacked division there.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the likes.
The thing is that Conor is messing the division a bit because you got Aldo Edgar. The winner of that is going to fight Conor, whether that's it won't be UFC 200, but
this is at 145. Will Conor come back to 145?
Yeah, exactly. Then there's that question mark. Is the next fight going to be so? Because you've got Barboza, you've got Habib,
Tony
Ferguson.
Cerrone might come back down.
Yeah. Oh, just on the UFC 197, the first fight I think was Yari Rodriguez, the Mexican. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that fight.
Where he finished his opponent with a drop kick to the jaw.
I didn't see the fight, but I did see that.
He's 145. He's 5'11".
What a powerhouse!
Yeah. He's like Pettis, John Jones mixed together. He's got this talent. He does these weird kicks like cartwheel kick, and he done that drop kick, or a flying roundhouse.
Fantastic technique to finish the guy.
So he's one to watch. He's
special.
Gifted. He's special.
Yeah,
he's got that X factor. He's a Mexican. He won the Tough Latin America.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know much about this guy.
He's tall for featherweight, 145.
Yeah,
5'11".
But it's just he generates so much power from that technique.
Yeah.
I mean, the technique that he used to finish his opponent, that kick. Out of nowhere, and he wasn't tired at all. He'd been trying various techniques. I saw a couple of clips.
Some flashy moves, and he was doing a spinning back face.
Yeah, that's right.
Then the roundhouse spinning kick, and
exciting fighter.
But no, I think overall your thoughts on UFC 197, decent card, medium, out of 10, 7, 6.5,
6.5, I think. Yeah, it just fell flat that night.
Yeah.
You think that too?
Yeah, I would give it probably about 7. I think because of the anticipation was Jones, Daniel Cormier, then you had Demetrius Henry Cejudo, 2 title fights. Then when Ovin St. Pierre, I thought John Jones is only going to take this if he feels comfortable, and he was comfortable. 5 rounds, he wasn't threatened. He didn't really expand himself. Ovin St. Pierre didn't really do anything. He couldn't really do anything. So it's pretty much what I expected. So yeah, I would say from the anticipation, it came down quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I would say 7. But there was also a card before that, which was UFC Fight Night, which was Rashad Evans and Glover Teixeira. Did you see that?
I think it's probably time.
It was quite sad, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's time he kind of considers his future, really. I mean, Teixeira,
Did you notice how slow Rashad looked?
Well,
tentative.
He didn't look in.
He's always
perfect.
been quite aggressor and moving around, and he, as soon as the bell went, Teixeira was chasing him, cutting out the corners of the cage, and
he didn't look as though he was in the best shape I've seen him. I know he's getting older, and it's been 18 months since he last fought. Yeah. It's been a long time.
I'm not saying Rashad is taking stuff, but if you look at his fight with Chael Sonnen, which was 18 months, 2 years ago, his muscle mass around his traps and his shoulders, Rashad's, was absolutely massive. He was like hunched.
Yeah.
But now he was quite flat.
He looked a different fighter.
Yeah.
He looked like he was there
Soft.
just to pick his check up and go. Teixeira, on his night, he's a good
beast.
fighter.
He's a solid bloke, isn't he?
He's had his chance at the title, at the strap. I'm not sure he'll ever get another chance again, whether or not he'll just be a gatekeeper and just turn up and fight and earn some money. Tough guy. But Rashad, I think he probably goes into coaching now or commentating. He's still a bright guy. He's never taken
he's
an
very
absolute.
articulate. Yeah.
He's never taken an absolute beating.
Yeah.
So I still think he's got his marbles. So I would probably like Rashad. Got nothing against him.
He's an affable guy. So, but there was the UFC Fight Night Zagreb, which was the main headline event. Was Dos Santos and Rothwell. What did you think of?
I think technique over power, really. Brain over brawn. I think that Dos Santos, he did what he needed to do. He was in and out.
He certainly looked better than...
he looked better. And it's nice for him to get a W in that column after there's so many L's.
That over-him fight before was very disturbing for him. But I thought Dos Santos had a very good strategy, a very good game plan.
In and out.
He was in and out.
Yeah.
He was attacking a very big body in Ben Rothwell's body.
A lot of body shots there.
He was doing some good jabs and good 1-2s. And he was also throwing that big overhand right, just in case he could connect. So he didn't overcommit. He moved around enough. Ben Rothwell obviously can't move as fast as Dos Santos because he's a lot bigger guy. And he kept away from Ben Rothwell's, big punches.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing for Rothwell because he's on a decent winning streak.
Well, he beat Josh Barnett.
Barnett choked him out. Beat Overeem. So I think he was, within a shot or two.
Back a couple of fights, I think.
I think he was within a fight or two of a shot at the title, and. I still think he'll get his go because the heavyweight division is a little bit shallow, really. There's a lot of guys that are finishing.
You've got Miocic. If Verdum wins and Velasquez wins, you think that's going to be on.
Okay.
If Miocic wins, then maybe the winner of Velasquez and Brown. Mm-hmm. Possibly. But there's not many attractive,
real new stuff,
obvious
new fighters coming in, or names that we're familiar with. And one way or another, they've all kind of fought each other as well. Yeah. So it's just a question
of a bit of a round robin type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Changing the ingredients of the sandwich a little bit, but it's all the same, really.
Yeah.
So it's not a particularly exciting division. I'd like to see Kane come back and have a go at Verdum because Verdum was so impressive to take the strap off Kane. I think Kane would like another go. Whether or not Velasquez is the same fighter, it's been such a long time since he was
and those injuries, you don't know what they're doing to his body. Probably more importantly, mental state.
I mean, he's
can he train as hard when he's going for a takedown? Precisely. Is he thinking, my shoulder, my back?
Yeah. And he's got to come in against somebody like Verdum, who himself has faced his own problems with injuries, but he's got to come in as close to 100% as he can to stand a chance. Mm. So, and going back to Rothwell, I think he just carries on doing what he's doing. Go back to the drawing board, continue with your training, because I think you'll get your chance again. JDS, he moves up one more step. He's going to get a fight and maybe a couple of fights away from a different world champion, not Kane.
If Kane's there, I think his chances are reduced drastically.
And I just worry about the damage that JDS, if I was a member of his family, maybe it's time to hang him up because he has taken some severe punishment. And trauma to the head.
That is unusual and cruel punishment.
It's like between him and I guess Diego Sanchez, you've got to say those two guys are probably the two at the top of the list.
Two guys have taken the worst beatings facially.
Oh yeah.
But the thing with Sanchez, you can tell
he's nuts anyway,
and he's slightly punch drunk. There's a slight slur in speech.
Yeah.
Dos Santos still articulate,
and a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a gentleman. He's a gentleman fighter.
I don't know if he'll ever make world champion again. I think, if Dana can sell the fight, then he'll put it on if the fans want it.
I think from his perspective, he'll probably want Verdum to be there for a couple of more fights because he has beaten Verdum when Verdum first came to the UFC.
It's quite a quick knockout,
I think it was a lead uppercut from memory. It was definitely a knockout.
JDS was on his way up then. I think they were for the title.
JDS had about 5 fights. Verdum came for a couple of fights, so they were both in the early stages of the UFC career. but JD has definitely knocked him out.
I think they're both different fighters now. I think there's been an improvement in Verdum. He seems confident everywhere. And I think there's a decline from the abilities of JDS because and I go back to that punishment from Kane. Kane just destroyed that guy for 10 rounds. Yeah. So
no, I think JDS's best route is probably Verdum staying as heavyweight champion and Kane not coming back or not winning it.
Yeah.
But moving on to a little Irishman that caused quite a bit of stir last week, Conor McGregor. SRBRadio.com. Love him or loathe him, he creates headlines, he creates press, he creates sort of attraction to MMA, UFC, and creates headlines. So, I mean, my view is that I understand that he's making a lot of money for the UFC, but when he was coming up, he was doing PR for the UFC. Now, if he would have said it 4 or 5 fights in, look, I don't get paid for all this PR, like that world tour with Jose Aldo. Do you remember they went to 8 countries, 10 countries over 3 months? If he would have said it then I would have had more respect for him. Now he's made a fair amount of money, and now he's saying 3 months prior to the fight, not 3 weeks, which doesn't make sense to me. If it was 3 weeks prior to the fight, you can say, yeah, why should he travel 7 hours there, then 2 days, and back 7 hours? This is still 3 months before the fight. How is it disrupting your training? Because you don't really start your camp in 8 weeks. Most fighters 6 weeks, 8 weeks, properly. So he brings in a lot of money. I understand that, but I just thought the UFC had to make a stand. In this case, I think the UFC, and you don't use this word a lot with the UFC or Dana, is being quite fair to the other fighters because they all turned up. So
I think Conor did this because he can. I think he's currently the biggest star, the brightest star, the biggest fighter, and I think
he's got that confidence now.
He has,
because he knows the value.
I think I read somewhere out of the top 4 gates, UFC gates, Conor's headlined 3 of them.
Yeah,
he's a current world champion.
Has he got the most pay-per-view? Is that still Brock?
It's either him or Lesnar. Yeah. But if he's not got the top spot, he's 2, 3, and 4.
He's the top 2. Yeah.
And he's being talked about on Sky. He's being talked about on internet shows, on TMZ.
He was on mainstream.
He's in the
Daily
Mail.
In this country, the main newspapers.
Just about the top trending UFC fighter. I think it's surpassed.
I know when someone's mainstream because my kids' daughters were saying, "Oh yeah, Conor McGregor." Yeah, and they watched some UFC with me, but that was for years ago.
And Dana has to respect this. What he's done to highlight, fighters' pay, what he's done regarding contract negotiations, what he's done around the world to underline what a great spectator sport the UFC is. He's done all that. However, Dana is in the circus here. And he's surrounded by the big cats, and they're all licking their chops. They all want a bite of Dana, and Conor's had a bite at him, so he's kind of whipped him back into shape a bit. Because if Conor wants a bite, the others are all going to have a bite as well.
It's that old, leadership. If I show a bit of weakness here,
that's right.
He's going to be next, and
that's
so
right.
on and so forth.
So they have. I don't know. Is it all part of a marketing campaign? One tweet, and the internet basically exploded.
Crazy, yeah.
And will he fight on 200? It wouldn't surprise me if he's on. It wouldn't surprise me.
Apparently, today in the internet press, it said he's definitely not fighting 200.
So he's what, 201 or 202 or something?
Dana said he might fight 201, 202, and he won't fight in Madison Square Garden, which is November the 12th. So New York got licensed for MMA. So UFC are holding an event at Madison Square Garden, MSG. So what's that going to be? July is 200.
Who knows? Maybe it's hiding the real reason behind Conor not wanting to fight at 200. Whatever, I don't know. But Dana works for the Fertitas. The Fertitas are all about.
They pull the actual strings.
All about money. And for some reason, Conor's done what he's done. Fair, props to Nate Diaz as well for standing firm and saying, "Look, I'm signed here to fight Conor. I don't want Eagle. I don't want RDA. I want Conor." and that's the fight everybody
I
seems to
think
want.
the Habib fight would have had quite a good angle because it was at a Bellator event about a month back. There was Nate Diaz, and another fighter they know. I think he's a Bellator fighter. Habib was in the crowd with his boys, and something went on, and they threw a beer at Habib, and then Habib punched one of their guys, and it was all a melee.
Right.
So they could have used that marketing angle about,
sure.
he fought him.
And how would he do? I'd love to see that fight.
Yeah,
I'd love to see Nick against Habib as well,
Yeah. I think Habib would win that, but...
Well, he'd just drag him down. Take him into deep waters and drag him down, keep him on the floor.
And he would nullify Diaz's jiu-jitsu because of his sambo wrestling, submission. So
very effective guy. I'm looking forward to that Tony Ferguson fight.
Yeah.
Because Ferguson, once again, is a natural-born killer. And
oh no, Tony Ferguson pulled out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they've rescheduled apparently.
Ferguson fighting next month, but he's not fighting Habib.
Okay.
Yeah, because Habib fought 2 weeks ago on that.
So will they get together following Ferguson's next fight?
I'm not sure. I think Habib said he wants his next fight to be a title fight.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think Ferguson's in the picture.
Okay.
Which is a bit of a shame because I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's a top fighter.
But you got to hand it to Conor. He's created such a buzz.
We're talking about him.
Yeah, Yeah, and mainstream media was talking about it.
People like to see him fight.
Our friend Martin, he mentioned Conor McGregor. Remember?
Oh yeah, last time we were out.
And he's not a
and
MMA fan.
And that's the thing. He's brought UFC combat fighting to the mainstream, to the average person,
sort of
talking about it in the kitchen, and has created a massive buzz. And yes, he will always. That name will always create interest. So even if he fights at 201, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be a huge gate.
Yeah, he's still got the star power. There's no doubt about that.
He's the UFC's biggest star at the moment. I think I watched a documentary before this was announced, and then I was going through a couple of forums, and sure enough, he's always number one in the trending fighters and search requests, regarding fighters. So yeah, they'll figure it out. He'll fight again. Whether he defends at 145 or whether he does fight Nate at 170 or he goes, he has a bash at 155 against RDA. There's lots of potential fights there.
Yeah, I think there's two options. I think 201 August, September 202. Will that be enough time for Frankie Edgar or Jose Aldo to finish their fight? If one of them gets battered, if the winner who wins gets a beating, he'll at least need 3 months. So you're looking at maybe UFC 204, which will be October.
Right, okay. So will Conor wait that long, or will he get some?
Or will Nate Diaz step back in at 201, 202, August, September? So I don't think Conor's next fight, if it's going to be that early, will be featherweight title fight.
It's a hard weight cut for him.
It is
145. I mean, he
struggles. He looks like an old man.
The machinist,
Yes, or the guy from Steptoe and Son. Yeah.
Yeah. So he struggles to make 145. He probably fights at 165. On fight night, he just blows up after that because he deprives himself of so much.
Well, he has a big advantage. He can carry 160.
Yeah, he's got a big frame,
pounds
and he packs
on fight night.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like Mendez or Edgar
small
Aldo, they're
guys,
probably 155.
Yeah.
So he's got 10 pounds over them.
I kind of see his future at either 155. Probably, I'm not sure. I think he's too small at 170. Although there's some fantastically interesting matchups at 170. I'm not sure the fights at 145
they'll be too big for him
are as interesting. Well, that's the trouble he's got. And even his...
Robbie Lawler, he must come in at 190 on the night, 185.
I think, remember Thiago Alves?
Yeah.
I think he came in over 200 pounds when he was fighting GSP. And if Conor doesn't even need to cut weight at 168 to fight at welterweight, then you're talking about guys that are 2.5, 3 stone heavier than him on fight night. Yeah. That's a massive difference.
It is.
And it's not fat, bad.
It's pure muscle.
It's stuff that they can utilise in a
pure, fight. Highly effective, highly energetic, solid muscle.
Correct.
So it's going to cause a lot of problems for someone.
So maybe he does. Maybe the money attracts him back down to 145. He beats Aldo again. He beats Edgar. I don't know. However, I probably think 155 is where he should live.
I think from McGregor's perspective if he would want Aldo to win, because I think you'd be more confident going into fighting Aldo because of what happened previously.
Yeah.
I think Aldo would win this time, but I'm just looking at it from his perspective. Then Edgar, who can take him to the ground at will, because of his wrestling, he has got submissions and he's got pretty good hands as well.
Is Edgar big enough? Could he hold him down? It's kind
That's the only
strong
thing,
one.
But I think Edgar probably has enough technique to hold him down.
Yeah.
Whereas Mendes didn't really. And
Very experienced fighter, Edgar, and durable as hell.
Oh yeah, tough as. So would Edgar's left hand knock him out? Probably not the first few times. Maybe the fifth or sixth time. But I think Edgar's footwork would keep him out of trouble. And he's very intelligent, Edgar. He can stick to a game plan.
Yeah. Smart fighter.
Yeah.
But he's never taken tons and tons of damage either.
Only that Gray Maynard first fight.
But he survived that, didn't he? Yeah.
2 rounds,
went on to
absolutely
win. Yeah.
Battered and then came back. But yeah. Apart from that, he hasn't taken loads of beatings. But moving on to some bit of news, but moving on to next month's main card, which is UFC 198, which is the card from Brazil. They're doing a stadium fight, I think, card, which I think it's 45,000 or 55,000. I can't remember whose football ground it is, but
they sell out big over there.
Yeah, I mean, football stadium can easily sold out, and the main fight is Verdun versus Miocic. Co-main event is Jacare Souza against Vitor Belfort.
Right.
Anderson Silva against Uriah Hall. Chris Cyborg against I can't remember the lady's name. And Shogun's fighting your favourite fighter, Corey Anderson.
Right.
And there's Damian Maia and Matt Brown.
Damian Maia, very interesting fight. Maia, on a real push. You know, he wants his title shot.
Welterweight.
Matt Brown,
obvious for Matt Brown. Don't let him take it to ground.
Yeah, and he loves to brawl, Matt Brown.
He's going to have to try and knock him out standing up.
Damian Maia's got a decent stand-up game.
And Damian Maia's got decent takedowns.
Yeah, he has. I would say that's exactly what's going to set him up with strikes, take Matt Brown to the floor, and just submit him.
Can't see.
Yeah.
I've not seen much of Matt Brown on the ground, but
he's not renowned for that. He's
brawling and toughness and
being crazy, you know.
But Chris Cyborg, I mean, we don't know much about her opponent, but
first fight in the UFC. Interesting. She should have been brought in last year before Ronda.
But there was no one for her to fight because Ronda would not go up to 140 or 145. Right.
And
I don't think Cyborg can come down to 135.
She's a big individual, so I guess they're going to set her up.
She's got a lot of technique. If you've seen her Strikeforce fights, and
boxer, that's right. Strong as hell as well.
She's got some very solid boxing, footwork and striking, and it's not wild swings and swinging for the fences. It's tight technique and power, like you say, a lot of power behind it. But Anderson Silva's fighting Uriah Hall. It could be an amazing match or it could be a flop.
Well, it depends which Hall turns up.
Yeah, exactly.
Uriah was the prodigal son at one point. You know, he won he came second in the Ultimate Fighter, didn't he?
He lost to Calvin Gastelum.
Gastelum, that's right.
Yeah.
And
but he had a couple of vicious knockouts in the house.
Very, very capable individual.
Physically, he's just
I just don't know if he has the right game plan, whether or not strategically he's able to implement that, mindset, or he's got the mental strength. But he's certainly got the tools. And I think Anderson is going to fancy his chances in front of his home crowd.
Because Anderson against Bisping looked pretty much up there.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Yeah. I thought he possibly won that, Anderson.
Strange, exciting for a lot of reasons. One of them being his belief that he got Bisping at the end of that round
and walked off
and was celebrating for 2 or 3 minutes, I think.
And then the bell went. Yeah.
And then he realised what had happened. But Bisping stuck in there, dug deep. Technique got him out of trouble, and he did it. So
you got to respect Bisping for that. Yeah. But I think the co-main event is quite interesting. You got Jacare Souza against the old lion Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, Belfort's a strange one. I don't particularly like him. I think he's got a round or two in him. I think he's very quick. I
can't see Vitor beating Jacare on the ground.
Yeah.
So the only chance he's got is probably 2 rounds of.
But Jacare has
punches.
got a good stand-up game as well. He's
very
a
good
very strong
kickboxing.
individual.
Yeah,
but I think he's going to go on. He's going to find himself. Belfour's going to find himself on his back, and he's going to get beaten up a bit, and probably a ground and pound.
Do you think the winner of this gets winner of Rockhold and Weidman?
Oh no, I don't think so. I think probably going on to slightly here. I think Rockhold wins the second fight anyway.
UFC
if Weidman gets it, they've won one apiece, and there's an automatic rematch.
Yeah,
there.
there's a rubber match there.
But I think if Belfour wins, I think yes, he's got a chance at Rockhold because Rockhold wants revenge at that spinning back kick.
Well, Belfour's beaten exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Jacare, who knows? I don't think he's big enough to get the fight just yet. I don't mean in regards to what he's accomplished and his fighting ability. Just regarding his saleability. I'm not sure Rockhold and Jacare is quite the fight to make. Maybe Romero, but he's on a ban. I don't know. Do they give him Anderson? Do they bring Anderson back into the title picture? I'd like to see Romero back. I think he's a real character. And when he's not
regardless what you think of him physically, and he can finish fights. So
absolutely very strong.
He's steroid or whatever the substance abuse got reduced from 12 months to 6
months, I believe. Yeah, he's probably got 3 months left. I think
they sent him an unopened sample of the supplement to USADA, and they checked in the labs, and there was traces of I can't remember what it was, nandrolone or whatever,
elevated levels.
Yeah, but there were elements of that in the unopened supplement.
Oh, I see.
So it might be where the company makes them, because don't forget. The company that makes supplements, they don't own their own factory. They outsource this to a company that puts all the ingredients together. So the 1 minute the company could be making this supplement, next minute they're making this supplement.
They become tainted.
Yeah, they become tainted with cross fertilization. So you got to just take the guy at his word. Don't know. We all got our views about his physique and whatever, but
he looks like a heavyweight when he comes.
He does.
How he makes 185 is
he must be coming in at 210 on the night.
Yeah, he must be.
So so the middleweight division, I think you're right. If Weidman wins, that's an automatic number 3 for them too.
Yeah, I think so.
If Rockhold wins, I think the winner of Jacare and Belfour gets the next. If Rockhold wins, because Rockhold beat Jacare in Strikeforce to win the title, middleweight title, and Jacare was next in line. Until Rockhold destroyed Lyoto Machida, remember that, in the second round, TKO? Then Rockhold jumped the queue because he was so impressive. So I think UFC know they owe Jacare a title fight.
Oh, okay.
Because he was sort of Dana's promise, politicians' promise, you'll get the next title fight. Rockhold wins. No, he's looking pretty good. So
saleability.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you can market him better. So... I think Jacare Sousa Belfour, depending on the fight, what happens in Rockhold Weidman's fight, I think it's type number 1 contender.
I think I'd rather watch Rockhold beat Belfour up than beat Jacare up, because I think Rockhold's pretty much unbeatable at that weight class.
I think if you ask Rockhold, he wants Belfour for revenge for that spinning back kick.
And I think there'll be a different fight.
I think that was
before
Rockhold's first fight after he came from Strikeforce.
He's 6'2" to get caught by a spinning back kick from a guy who's 5'11", 5'11 and a
sort
half,
of just slightly shorter than him. Yeah. I think Rockhold said he was nervous because he just come from Strikeforce as a champion.
Yeah.
It was a lot of emotion that he brought with him, which didn't help him in this case.
I think Uriah Hall has a good performance on that fight card.
Then he's in right up there.
Yeah, he's in with a
if
shot as well.
TKO's Anderson or
then
KO,
he'll get a shot. I think
shot to like number 2.
And if Anderson comes back a bit and comes back strong,
KO's.
Then
Uriah.
I think he's suddenly elevated too.
So the middleweight, it's quite a busy division. It is.
There's quite a few interesting matchups there.
There's a few guys with the skill sets and the toughness to change things about. So.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But the main event is Fabrizio Verdum and Stipe Miocic. I think this is 50-50. I think Stipe is, I wouldn't say puncher's chance, but he's got the durability standing up. And he's got the sort of punching power to trouble Verdum. But like you said earlier, Vadum's stand-up has improved, so he's not going to get smacked around standing up. And I think Miocic was quite a good college wrestler, so Vadum won't be able to take him down at will, which is going to be Vadum's place of business to actually finish Miocic. So I think I'm going to say Vadum, but Miocic has definitely got a good chance.
I think you brought up some good points there. I think Miocic's best chance is to keep it on the feet, and Vadum's improvement with striking was quite evident against Velasquez. He looked fantastic. So Stipe needs to fight a smart fight, not get taken down, not get beaten up and roughed up. But I just think Vadum at the moment is on the crest of a wave. I think he's strong everywhere, and I think he's got more ways to win the fight than Stipe has. And he's very experienced, Vadum. I mean, he was coming off a fantastic performance against one of the best heavyweights that's ever lived. So I think Vadum maybe third or fourth round, and Stipe, a good fighter. I'm just not sure he's a world champion. I think he's had some good performances and great fights against JDS.
Ready yet, possibly.
I just don't think he's got enough
pedigree,
and enough ways to win. And I think Vadum has got 2 or 3 ways to win.
He hasn't got a standout skill set.
Yeah, great boxer, great footwork. But I just think
standout stuff.
And I think it's a tough heavyweight division. I wouldn't say it's the toughest it's ever been.
It's not the most skillful it's ever been,
and I don't think Stipe's got enough skill to beat everybody,
or even one standout skill.
I think there's better fighters there than him at the moment.
There might be slightly tougher, slightly better boxers. They are on the ground.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, another 10%. I just want to remind the listeners that if they want to get in contact with the show, they can email the show on the MMA show number 7. So that's THEMMA SHOW numerical 7 at gmail.com. Please send us your comments and any suggestions that you may want to hear on the show, or any improvements. We welcome them. So if you want to send us an email at the MMA show 7 at gmail.com. And just to let you know, we'll be putting up a YouTube channel, a Twitter handle, and a Facebook page in the coming months, so you can contact us in a number of ways through social media. Okay, so wrapping up on some news. I heard that Bellator are, I think in June or July in London. Headline is Tony Daly against Josh Koscheck, which obviously brings the fight from UFC, whatever it was, when Koscheck took him to ground and smothered him with his wrestling and insulted him while he was on the ground.
Semtex is back, yes. He's having a bit of a good run in Bellator, and I think they had an interview a couple of weeks ago where there was a bit of shoving match and insulting.
They had a mini press conference, and Daly shoved Koscheck and had to be stopped before it went any further.
I think,
but I think Paul Daly he's improved his wrestling.
Yes, he has.
So
I think
I don't think he'll take him down that easy.
No, I think it'll be
Koscheck is now 3-4 years older.
Yeah, he's a different fighter.
He's
himself.
not the same level.
He's not as durable. He hasn't got a chin. I think it's Daly's.
He was fighting George St. Pierre, John Fitch, all those guys when he was at that peak.
I think
Thiago Alves.
Daly's to lose that fight. So
I would make Daly favourite KO, because I think Koscheck will run, stand back, try to take him down. He'll stuff a couple of takedowns. Koscheck's confidence will go down, Daly's will go up, left hook.
Be an interesting fight as well. If he does win, become champ, then maybe Dana brings him back to the UFC, and then a rematch with Nick Diaz. What a fantastic fight that was.
Yes, that was a Strikeforce fight as well. Yeah.
Great fun.
You think Dana might bring? I think he might stick with. I know.
If there's pound notes, dollar bills in those eyes, Dana will sign them. And then if you're not producing, he'll let you go. So.
No, I think that's and it's in London as well. That show. I think Kimbo's on the co-main event. I can't remember who against, but he's on the. But we'll have a look at that closer to the time. But I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, sure.
There's a bit of history there as well. So it's. It
must be 4 years ago since they fight.
Easy 3-4 years ago. Yeah. I think Dan Magliotto was the referee when he had to picked up Daly, and because he's a big guy. But no, I think it'd be an interesting fight.
Yeah,
might be an interesting one to go down to in London. Probably at the O2, I would imagine. But I think moving ahead, I think there's a couple of other cards next week. There's from Rotterdam, May the 8th, Overeem versus Arlovski. I'm going to go with Overeem for that one.
I think you're right. I think he's on an ascendancy at the moment. He wants his title shot. He had a good performance against Junior Dos Santos. He's looking sharp since his loss, a couple of losses. Travis Brown got him. Big Ben Rothwell got him. And he seems to have tightened his game up. I think Arlovski was a great champion, had a couple of good performances, one particularly against Travis Brown.
His chin's always been his Achilles.
Yeah, I think that's Overeem's and another stepping stone towards
I think Overeem will just catch him later in the first or second round.
I think so, yeah.
But there's another card in May the 29th, the UFC Fight Night. Thomas Almeida against Grabnant. Thomas Almeida is a very effective
very
Brazilian.
Experienced fighter.
Yeah, he's very explosive. He had that wicked fight with Brad
Pickett, yeah.
When Pickett knocked him down a couple of times.
Kept getting back up there. He's like the Terminator.
Yeah, actually, he's like a cyborg, and he just came back, and he's very durable, very skillful, creative. So I'm looking forward to that one. I don't know much about the other guy, but I'm looking forward to see. I think is he 145 or he must be Brad Pickett? Is
135.
One bantamweight, yeah, I think so. So I think he can't be too far away from maybe a title shot.
Yeah.
He's certainly got the style.
Yeah,
and the effectiveness. Yeah.
Interesting because it looks like he enjoys what he does, which is just beat people up. And he's got a lot of different ways
he enjoys
he
the
can
fight.
finish you.
Yeah,
a real scrapper.
Yeah, but he's got the skill set. He's not just a brawler.
Yeah, doesn't mind taking one or two to give one or two. So always exciting fights with Almeida.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. I think that's pretty much all the reviews and previews for this show. So join us next month for the review of UFC 198, the preview of UFC 199, and remember you can contact the show by emailing us on the MMA Show 7@gmail.com. That's the MMA Show numerical 7@gmail.com, and we'll have Facebook and a Twitter handle and a YouTube channel in the up and coming months. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Marcus, for being here again.
My pleasure. Good to see you.
And talking about what we love to talk about as fans, and giving our 2 pennies worth, really. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
It's RBRadio.com.